Greetings, friends. It's Dr. Marcia McPhee. I've been wanting to make this video for a little while now. It was about 3 months ago that I made my first Facebook Live and video about online worship because I realized that we were about to have to figure this out and to do our worship online. Now I'm coming to you at a time when a lot of people are thinking about reconvening in the sanctuary. And I feel compelled to say a couple of things about that. So I was part of an ecumenical protocols consultation, and so got to read a lot about what research we know about. There were some CDC people on it, as well as theologians and liturgists and lots of really good folks. And the more that I was part of this, the more I realized that, yes, I think we need to have these protocols to be safe when we come back, but I am still not a fan of coming back to the sanctuary. You know, just because this is not new anymore, 3 months in, doesn't mean that it's safer. It's still dangerous. We still don't have a cure. We don't have a vaccine, and we're not going to anytime soon. And so I am just not sure that it's wise to put ourselves in danger to come back and worship together in this space. I think a lot of people are really missing the sanctuary, but I think one of the things that we're missing is our experience of the holy that we remember that we have in the sanctuary. So for instance, I'm sitting in a spot in this sanctuary, in this church, where I was worshiping before we went into lockdown. And this is a place, I mean, I'm like a lot of people. I come in and I tend to gravitate toward a familiar spot. And that's because our brains love that. And we, in fact, begin to attach the feeling of the holy with a certain angle, a certain view. So there's like a real physiological, neurological reason why we like to sit in the same spot. Because our brain goes, oh, this is where I had a really spiritual experience once before, so it's possible I could have another one. And so when we come back in, I think a lot of people are yearning for the experience of being in the sanctuary, the experience of worship that their brains are telling them they're going to have. But actually, I think we're not really going to have that kind of experience when we come back. It's going to be very different. And a lot about what feels like worship, what feels holy, has to do with our experience of the look and the feel. I may not be able to sit in this spot that I have sat before, and so I might be sitting somewhere else. Then already my brain's going to be a little uneasy. Like, what? Why are we sitting in a different place? And then we're not going to be singing together at all. And that's going to feel weird because the energy, it's going to affect the energy. And so the very energy of the space is going to feel different. We're going to be spread out. And those of you who are in big sanctuaries that used to be full, people have memories of them full, and then now they're not so full anymore, and then people still spread out. I mean, as I have consulted with churches over the last 25 years, that's been one of the things that people have complained about, is that people spread out and it dissipates the energy, and it just feels like, early service feels, because we're so spread out. Well, that's the way it's going to feel. Right? Even if your church usually feels vibrant, it's going to feel less vibrant because the energy is dissipated when we are separated. So that's not going to feel the same. It is going to feel, the experience of the sanctuary is going to bring us some comfort because the visuals, just getting to see it will be comforting. So what I want us to ask ourselves, how else can we get some of what we're yearning for without putting ourselves in danger? So I think we can do some thinking outside the box. I think we can think of some more creative ideas. One of the things I've been playing with recently is, what if there was a no-touch pilgrimage through the sanctuary, like a walk-through? So, like, what if, those of you doing my Beguiled by Beauty series with the wind chimes, what if when you came in the front door there was some wind chimes. So it's connecting to the online worship that you're doing, but little pieces of it are connecting in this kind of no-touch walkthrough, right? So what if we came in and we had, we have to do the same kind of scheduling and things that, and wipe down of the space and wearing masks and all of that we talk about in this document that I'm going to put in the comments below. So we have all those protocols and we space people out, and maybe we even put, like in the grocery store, little dots, little circles where you stand, and then when somebody moves forward, then you get to go to the next one. What if we had a walkthrough, and so maybe the organist is playing, or the pianist is playing, and so I get to be in my beautiful sanctuary, and I get to hear that beloved organ or piano or what have you, and I get to have some time to stop. And maybe we even put some signs on the pews, like we tape it on the pews, some scripture or some words of prayer that people can experience as they're coming down and waiting in different spots. And what if then we get to come all the way up to the chancel? Again, no touch. Certainly not going to kneel at the rail. So I get to come here, and this is my last stop, is right here, and I get to spend a moment. The candles are lit, and I get to enjoy this beautiful space. And then this church actually has a great out because they have this side door. And so the side door takes us outside. I don't know, that's just like one example. When I was in Tahoe, there's this thing called Trails and Vistas, which is really cool. I'm gonna go outside here. It's called Trails and Vistas, and it's, you go on a hike, and along the way, every once in a while, you would encounter some artists doing something. They're either playing musical instruments or dancing, or there's a piece of artwork that somebody has created that you go by, and it's just kind of this pilgrimage where you encounter art. Why don't we do that? I mean, you could actually come out here and then maybe continue on the walk, right? Maybe we even have some chimes hanging from the cross right there, or from some of the trees around. Oh, there's a bunny rabbit. Hi there, baby. Oh, and then there's bunny rabbits. Talk about celebrating creation. Oh, so cute. Anyway, you can have arrows like in the grocery store one way. You could have places where people can stop, and maybe you have a little something, praise God for the flowers, a little signage in there. So it's kind of what botanical gardens are doing now that are opened up. Where you can walk through, but it's no touch. So I don't know, you would have to decide what you could do in your space that's safe. Read those guidelines below. Really good guidelines about people coming into common areas. And of course, you need to check with your judicatories in terms of, some districts and conferences and regions are, you need to get permission to reopen in various ways. So we're really trying to figure out what it is that people are missing and meet that need without it having to be like trying to do what we've done before in the sanctuary. So this encounter with the sacred space, this encounter with the grounds of the church that maybe people haven't visited for a long time. This is their peace pole. And, we can't do prayer stations where people are lighting candles or taking rocks or things. It's got to be no touch. But it could be prayer stations where people stop and pray a prayer for peace. It could be photographs that you set up in different places that invite different prayers. So an intercessory prayer walk, all no touch. But it could even be something that if you laminate things or put them in a more permanent state, that people could come at any time. Although you want to make sure that you're letting people know that if there's somebody walking in the space, that you don't want people too close together. So you know, if you trust your people to self-monitor, but you might want to just do it as an event so that you can monitor the rate at which people go through. But maybe here on the, when they come out the door and they're here in this space, maybe there's a cellist over there, you know, somebody who's playing a musical instrument that's not a wind instrument, right? That's problematic, but a cello, or maybe it's a drum, maybe it's a drummer, you know, that, I mean, that's one thing that really can get the energy happening. Or maybe if your place is big enough, like this place, there's different places. You could have the cellist over on the other side of the building, which has a columbarium, right? So some beautiful music where people remember those who have passed on. And maybe on this side, there's a couple of drummers, you know? So you'll have to figure that out. But the point is to create a worshipful experience that meets some of our spiritual needs, some of our ritual, spiritual, spatial, energetic needs around community. That's a shared experience. It's shared because we all get to do it. And then maybe we debrief it on Zoom afterwards, right? We have a Zoom happy hour, Zoom fellowship hour, where we talk about our experience of it. So it's shared experience in shared space, but just not at the same time. And for those who would never come out at all anyway, right? Even to do this, we're gonna record this. Maybe we even record this pilgrimage just with the camera as if you're doing it. And maybe when we get outside here, we have some music that we overlay on top of the video. So we make it accessible to people. You could digitally create something for smartphone, you know, so you could bring up something like the prayer station kind of things on the smartphone. Or I've done pilgrimages. I've created pilgrimages where I had narrated meditations that people would play as they walked through. So let's just get creative, folks. Let's not think that it's either or, that it's just online worship and in-person worship. Let's think out of the box and let's think of all the different kinds of beautiful, worshipful experiences that we can have without putting people in danger right now. It's just we just don't know enough, and it's too risky. And there's so many people that cannot even come out for a walk through. And so we want to find ways to be inclusive. And pastors, I know that it's a lot to produce online worship. If you add, because you're basically going to have two congregations, one congregation that can come and risk it, and one that cannot. And so I think you're going to be doing double work. I think you're going to be doing an online service and whatever you're doing in the space. And you know how tired you are right now, times 2 or more. Anyway, it's my opinion. It's my thoughts. I think so many of you are doing awesome things. It's been long enough. You're doing amazing things online. If you need any help, please let me know. Because we're in it for a while, I think. And let's keep supporting each other. All right, friends. My prayers are with you, whatever you decide, and I know just the deciding is really hard. But let's think of some ways that we can answer the need that people have for deepened spirituality, for seeing their sacred spaces, for music, for what have you, even in those ways that even in this time where it's just not going to be the same to come back, even if we try to reproduce minus the singing, minus the communion, it's not going to feel the same. And so it could actually create a lot more grief rather than more comfort to try to do that. Anyway, thanks. Bye.